Hi, my name is Jose, and today I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to replace the battery on your car, and I'm going to be doing it on this beautiful 2017 Mercedes S550 or W222. If I can do it on this car, you could do it on any car. It's a little more complicated on this car than regular cars, but it's also simple. It's not a difficult procedure. So the first thing I'm going to do is, and this is the first tip, I'm going to put power jumper on the car because I don't want to lose any of the memory while I replace the battery. Because when you take the battery off your car, you're going to lose everything from the memories of your radio to the memory on your seats and anything the computer in the car stores. So you can put this on the positive and negative terminals. Always keep in mind the colors. Positive is red, negative will be black. That's your second tip. Always make sure you put the colors right. Positive to positive, negative to negative. On this car, the negative terminal is in here. Some cars have the battery in the front. This car has the battery in the back. So we're connecting the positive terminal to the positive terminal in the car. It's also red, it's positive. The negative terminal of your jumper to the negative terminal in the car. And the car is telling me that I connected the right terminals, okay? Now we're gonna go to the back of the vehicle where the battery is located. So the parts that we're gonna be using today is, of course, the battery. We're gonna need some torque wrenches. It's better to use torque wrenches. We're gonna use a 10 millimeter, a 13 millimeter, a T20 torque for this vehicle. The procedure might not be the same on every vehicle, the exact procedure, but it's basically the same. This is an OBD2 connector that will help you save your memory of your car if you don't have a jumper box. This is a very, very affordable tool and very useful. And if it could be handy to use this electrical tool, but very simple to do with mechanical tools as well. The battery is located here in the trunk of this car. Some cars have it under the seat, some cars have it in the trunk, some cars have it in the front, under the hood. This one has it right here. We're going to start with these Torx T20. And we're going to take these screws out so we can take the cover off. This one, and this is two. There you go, the cover's off. Now we're pulling this liner out. This car is supposed to have some clips here, but somebody forgot to take them off. So for now, we're gonna live without it, but I'm gonna replace them eventually. These are just some plastic pins that you use a screwdriver to pull them out. Very simple to do. You might have noticed that I had some rags on my bench, and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna be using those for. That's another tip that I'm gonna give you. So we're gonna use our 10 millimeter to unscrew the bolts on the battery. Okay, so now they're loose. And I'm going to be using my rag to wrap the terminals on my battery because remember I have a jumper connected in front of the car. So I'm going to take my negative terminal out. Remember, always the negative terminal first, because if you take your positive terminal out and it touches the frame, this is still doing ground. And in this case, since I put the jumper box in the front, it's going to be in contact anyway, but always remember with the negative side. So I'm going to take this terminal, I'm going to wrap it and put it aside. I'm going to do the same thing with my positive terminal. I'm going to take it out and I'm going to wrap it so it doesn't touch any metals. Now that we have those tucked away, we're going to take the bolts off of this strap. So we can take the battery off the car. To make this a little quicker, we're going to be using our power tools. Not necessary, but useful. Make the job a little quicker. And there we go. It's out. Put this away. Now, these acid batteries have a tube for venting. Okay? And if you're getting the same kind of battery, always remember to put this back. We're going to put that aside. I decided to go with a different battery. It's not the same acid battery or the same battery that Mercedes has. Instead, I got this Odyssey battery, and it's an AGM battery. It's not acid flatted. This battery is leak proof, and that's one of the reasons why I got it. It's leak proof. This battery could be installed sideways, could be straight. You put it in any position. So this one, because it's not acid flatted, it doesn't have a vent tube. Now, always make sure your negative and positive terminals go in the same spot. That was our negative terminal. This is our positive terminal. Almost every car is going to show you the positive and the negative with colors. This is the red, this is the black. We have our cover from the last battery. It's here. And this is the positive terminal. That's our negative. Always make sure you secure your battery. It has this lip and on both sides. So the back lip will be connected to the lip in the back of this tray. So the battery is secure there. And it will also be secure with this strap, just like the original one. We make sure we center the battery and connect the terminals. Now we have to connect it backwards. The positive terminal is going to go in first and the negative is going to go last. Make sure we don't touch anything with a positive terminal, and it goes straight into our battery. Now here's another tip. Push this all the way down and do not pound the terminals down. If you pound the terminals, you could be damaging the battery inside. You won't even know. I've seen way too many people pound the terminals into position. The worst thing you can do to your battery. So we secure this, we go all the way down. And we tighten our terminals. Now here's another tip, very important tip. Always go by the torque specs. If you don't know the torque specs, go easy. Don't use a big tool, use a small tool. And just kind of take it easy there, just with your fingers, tighten it with your fingers. Don't go too hard on it. Now we're going to torque the battery terminals, and the specs are 6 Newton meters or 53 inch-pounds. Not foot-pounds, but inch-pounds. We'll have this set. Always set it and lock it. Okay? So the torque tool will click when the torque is ready, when it's set. So we wait for the little clip. There you go, it clicks. And done. Now we're going to put the bolts of our strap. Always do this by hand. Any bolt should be put on by hand first. Once you make sure it's on, then you can use hand tools, power tools. The only time we're going to use a power tool here is just to save some time. And we won't go all the way down. We're just going to save time by bringing them down with the power tool. And now we use our hand tool. In this case, we're going to use the torque tool, and it's going to be set for 17 foot-pounds or 23 Newton meters, depending on what kind of tool you use. There you go, a little click. There you go. There it goes. Now that the battery is in place, we make sure everything is secure. Make sure the strap is good. And start putting everything back. And put a cover on our positive terminal. Make sure you always put this on. You don't want anything dropping on this. That's touching metal. Also, when you tighten this or when you're taking the terminals off, make sure your tool doesn't touch any metal or the tool doesn't touch the other terminal while you're taking this off. We don't really need this tube, but since we have the connections, why not use it? This is a leak-proof battery. No need for vents. But I don't want to lose that vent either in case I decide to go to a flatted battery again. Now you don't need to use the original battery. That's something that a lot of people think, that you have to use an original battery. Mercedes is not going to take an aftermarket battery. It's not going to take a different brand, but it works. You could use any battery on your car. Now that this is done, we're going to start putting everything back. At the bottom. We don't have our clips right now, but we'll be replacing them soon. Put this back. We use our Torx 20 for this. It only goes on one direction, so there's no way to mess this up. Now you're gonna ask me, what's the torque on these? Well, these are plastic pieces that don't need a lot of torque, and that's why you use one of these. You can't put a lot of torque on these, especially if you're just using your fingers to tighten it down. So there's no torque spec on these. There might be, if you ask the Mercedes dealer, they might give you a torque on it, but we don't have a torque spec for these. That's it. We're all set. Now we have to take the jumper box off the front and turn on your car. That's it. We're done with the battery. Now we're going to remove the jumper box. Now we're going to disconnect the terminals on the jumper box. Put this away. Cover our terminals. Make sure everything goes back the way it was installed. Now we're going to start the car. We go get our keys, get in, and see if our memories are still there. Everything looks good. All the radio settings look good. My seat settings are good. Looks like we did a good job. And that's it. That's how you replace the battery on your car. It's a very simple procedure. You just have to be careful with what you're doing. Make sure your wires are in good condition, your terminals are in good condition, and as I said before, do not pound on your terminals because you will do some internal damage, and you won't even know the kind of damage that you do. So be careful with that. Always go by factory specs. Don't just get the battery that's in the car, especially if you got a used car. If you got a used car, you don't know what the previous person did. You don't know if they changed the battery and they put the wrong battery in. So go by what the factory wants for you to use. And you don't have to use, in this case, you don't have to use a Mercedes battery. This is a Mercedes. You don't have to use a Mercedes battery. You can use any battery. That's a misconception. Some people think that you put the different brand battery in the car, that the computer will go crazy, it won't work, it won't charge correctly, but it's totally wrong. My car, I've been driving for like 10 minutes. The car works fine, the battery is charging correctly, and it also fixed my issue. I had an issue with my automatic stop and start. It wasn't working because of the main battery. It's not always the auxiliary battery in this case. These cars have an auxiliary battery, and that controls the stop and start. But it's not always the one that goes bad when your stop and start don't work. So this car is 5 years old. The battery is 5 years old. So I decided to change the main battery, and I already fixed my issue. My car stops uh, and starts automatically now when I stop at a corner or at a light or a stop sign or for whatever reason I have to stop. And I'll be doing a second video with the auxiliary battery, but this already fixed my issue. The car's working fine, it's driving fine. Thanks to my jumper box, I was able to save the memory on everything on the car, the radio, the seats, the windows. I don't have to reset anything by using the jumper box. Now, as I mentioned, you could also use the OBD2 connector. In some cars, you don't have the access to what this car has in the front, the jumper terminals. You don't have that in some cars. So you could use an OBD2 connector for your jumper box, or you could use another battery to keep the memory on your car. So it's very good, useful tool. Uh, Follow the procedure, follow what the manufacturer wants you to do, and you'll be fine. You'll save all your memories in your car. You don't have to waste your time setting your windows or your radio stations again. And that's it. So I'll leave you with that. I will change my auxiliary battery on my next video, and goodbye.